We've all likely witnessed someone, whether in movies or in real life, who becomes so intoxicated that they end up soiling themselves or vomiting due to excessive drinking or drug use. The Bible addresses this analogy in Proverbs 26:11 and 2 Peter 2:22, likening sin to that very vomit. We can't pretend that sin doesn't exist in our lives. Just like the unpleasant aftermath of overindulgence, sin leaves behind a similar mess that we must confront and address. Rather than making excuses for our failures, it's important to take ownership and responsibility for our actions. We mustn't hide behind our past or make excuses for the mistakes we've made. Instead, we should work to embrace our failures, learn from them, and move forward. When it comes to owning and understanding dogs, I've often observed their behavior, especially how they sometimes go back to their own vomit. Just like the proverb in Proverbs 26:11 says, it's been a striking analogy for me as I've seen this pattern in my own life and the lives of others. Just as dogs may return to something that made them sick, so too do we as humans often find ourselves going back to the same mistakes and sins. Just as vomit is a symbol of regurgitated food, our sinful behavior represents something that is unhealthy for our spirits. It's a behavior that needs to change, and by seeing it in this light, we gain a new perspective on recognizing and distancing ourselves from it. 2 Peter 2:22. Of them the proverbs are true. A dog returns to its vomit, and a sow that is washed returns to her wallowing in the mud. The passage is referring to a proverb to illustrate a larger point about certain individuals who have turned away from the right path. The biblical text makes a reference to the Proverbs in the Old Testament. The specific proverbs mentioned in 2 Peter 2:22 are proverbial expressions often used to paint a vivid and relatable picture. The first part of the proverb, a dog returns to its vomit, comes from Proverbs 26:11 in the Old Testament, is a metaphor used to describe someone who returns to their old sinful ways or harmful behavior, much like a dog might return to its vomit, which is a repulsive image. The second part of the proverb, a sow that is washed returns to her wallowing in the mud, is also an imagery used to illustrate the idea of someone who reverts back to their sinful and unclean ways, despite having been cleansed or having experienced a better way of living. In 2 Peter 2:22, both of these proverbs are used metaphorically to convey the idea that certain individuals, even after being exposed to the truth or experiencing a change, may return to their previous sinful habits or behaviors. This is meant to caution against falling back into past patterns and behaviors that are harmful or unclean. Let's ensure that we wake up before our sins catch up with us and expose our shameful actions. Waiting until it's too late to face the consequences openly is not the way to go. You don't want to find yourself publicly exposed in your wrongdoing because you were comfortable with hidden sins. Avoid waking up in your own vomit thinking that you're okay with concealed wrongdoing until it's too late. Let's address our shortcomings before they become a public spectacle.